Today we find ourselves on a VIP 8 account belonging to Smoothie. Now this account is a Lord of Fear Aspen account currently, and it used a Jara as a main homeowner to go ahead and make progress in the Void campaign. Now like many Jara users, we've made it up to chapter 352, and rather than heavy committing in Jara and pushing ourselves even further, instead we have an account that's kind of switched into a Lord of Fear Aspen account. Now there's no problem with this, we've got full sublimation on the Lord of Fear Aspen, and even we've gone ahead and got him a level 2 core, which is fantastic. If you go ahead and look at the bag, we also have another core as well, which means we only need one more core, and we'll have that thing at Noble. A Noble core with full sublimation means all we need to do is get the Tree of Origin to level 120, which it already is, and you could make yourself a Destiny improved Lord of Fear Aspen. That's quite exciting. In fact, I don't even know why it's 120 right now. I see that as an overinvestment in Stellar Shards, which might be suboptimal. In fact, those Stellar Shards could be used to invest in other heroes to make them stronger as well. Either way, interesting that you've done that, but you're probably thinking to yourself, how would this account improve? Or does it even need to? Why are we making a video about this? Well, it's all down to the fact that Smoothie was asking the question, should I switch into a Doom Terminator Vulcan account instead of using Aspen? Now, if you guys haven't seen, they added to Idle Heroes in the last few months an update which gives us this new resource here. You can get it from these Void Invasion bosses, and it gives us Spirit Vein Shards, and more importantly, Aurora Gems with that as well. The two things combine together to allow us to Destiny improve heroes, which goes and improves their abilities. Now, you can find more about that if you go into your Transcendence Heroes, look at the Pokédex, and go and click on any hero you're interested in. For example, we can look at all of the skills that Lord of Fear Aspen would gain here. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Lord of Fear Aspen gains a ton of damage on the back of this. Not to mention, you get a massive improvement to attack and to HP, and overall the hero becomes super inflated. As well, Aspen's tenants that are Elena and Halora are also both fantastic when you Destiny improve them. Elena has phenomenal disruptive effects, Halora has great buffs for the team, she can even feed energy, and it results in a really nice duo that add tons of support to the team. Not to mention, when you give them the Destiny improvements, they're going to improve Aspen's performance overall. If you've seen any account with the Destiny heroes, if those Destiny heroes happen to be tenants for your main Destiny hero, you see insane attack numbers. Now, often it's with heroes that are A tier, but you don't necessarily need that. And I think for free-to-play players or budget players, it's going to become a lot more realistic that you guys have access to these Destiny improvements. The same way we can go ahead and sublime heroes now pretty easily, the devs will add Destiny improvements to the future of this game for free-to-play players. They will be obtained easily for free, eventually, probably at some point within the next few months, if not by the time of the new year. Either way, if you're a player that wants to go ahead and invest in a hero, yeah, it could be Vulcan, you could do that. But also, Aspen absolutely benefits from Destiny improvements because Elena and Halora are so strong with Destiny improvements and are his tenants. And that's what's made Aspen such a standout hero. So my advice to an account like this is, you don't need to go ahead and strip things down to a Vulcan just because you hear he's the big boy you've got to use in late game. Also, look at the light food. We have none. Hardly any. We have one E5. Where on earth are we supposed to justify building a Vulcan when this is your bag? You need 3 E5s in the light faction to justify building a Vulcan, because you want to build Natalie as a Transcendence hero, you want to build Vulcan as a Transcendence hero, and you want to build Eos as a Transcendence hero. Yes, I suppose you could build Geista as a Transcendence hero instead, but Eos is typically a much stronger Transcendence hero to build as a tenant. However, there's one unfortunate side of that, which is Natalie, yeah, sure, she can be improved in the Destiny improvements, and she's okay, but improving someone like Eos or Geista doesn't really seem smart when they're not your main damage dealer. And therefore, even though you're going to be buffing Vulcan's power if you chose to do that, it's not going to be necessarily really strong for your team, like it would be if you went with Elena or Halora. So in the long term, I don't necessarily think that if this account switched into Vulcan, it would be any better. As well, when you consider we already have cores for Aspen, I don't actually see a justification to go and pivot into Vulcan there either, because it would just mean those 3 cores we've gotten for Aspen are just completely wasted. So based on the direction this account has already gone in, I feel like it would be foolish to now just suddenly run in a different direction. It's a very, very expensive change to make, because it means all those cores, all those sublimations, all those things that we've gone and put into the Aspen need to be undone. Yes, sublimations can be moved, but then we'll have to go and say, well, all that dark food you grabbed during the swap event, well, now you're going to have to go and make that light food again, and there's probably not going to be an event like that until Chinese New Year. Now, of course we mentioned that sublimation and the core, but the other problem we've only got 20 soul symbols. That's not a lot to go ahead and make a big change into a Vulcan. You're going to need 10 to strip away Aspen, you'll probably need a lot more to strip away your other Transcendence heroes, and then you're going to have to go ahead and swip away your tenants that you're not using, and before you know it, you've realized that you've done probably 50 soul symbols worth of changes, which is insane. Trying to make all those changes on this account would be a little bit silly. And yeah, I get it, the owner of this account's a little bit worried if he doesn't go with Vulcan, is he not going to be that strong? But I think that's foolishness. I think once we get more Destiny improvements, once we can go ahead and focus heavily on a Lord of Fear Aspen, and you don't even need an A tier here to make it work, I think this account is going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, let's take a look at our artifacts. What are we rocking here? We've got Gilded Purple Fan if we need it. We've got a Punisher there for some reason. There's your Melodic Strings. It's on Jara. You'll probably want that on Aspen. We've got our Transcendence flags here. We've got a bunch of Demon Bells. This account's got some stuff that's pretty well established. As well, Augustus Magic Ball is going to help support us. We've got Antlers Cane for even more damage. The thing is, where's your Ruby Scepter? Is that on someone? Oh, you've got 2 of them. Wild. Okay, in that case, I think you're absolutely fine. And that might surprise some of you. I know a lot of you players, you hear about Lord of Fear Aspen with Halora and Elena as like an early game thing, but really, it's something you can move on into late game. So let's talk about that. What would we actually do when it comes to changing this account into a late game Aspen account? First thing we need to do, probably get rid of this Jara. I don't think she's necessarily going to be useful here. First of all, she's fully subbed, which we can remove, and we'll get all the Stellar Shards back that are invested in her. That means we can go and put all that into Freya. We can get Freya's last 2 passives, which are going to benefit us in any fight, where of course evolutionary factor is going to come into play, provided the fight lasts for quite some time. That's going to be amazing in Star Expedition, and the survivability you'll gain from having Freya improved will be very noticeable indeed. On top of that, I think you might be pretty smart to go and get yourself an Ailemak. Ailemak's really popular in later game accounts as they're trying to go ahead and beat deeper campaign. But a little trick with an Ailemak, a lot of people say you need to make him a homeowner. That's relatively true, but it's difficult when you've only got 7 Transcendence heroes, because it means you've got to commit to someone like Swordflash or Star Alchemist HomeXJUMP, which I don't think this account's quite ready for yet. Instead, one little thing we can do is use this Vesa as a main homeowner. She'll get stat improvements by investing in this Freya, and potentially you might even want to keep the Jara around, just not this strongly invested, and then you can actually enjoy Vesa giving you shields, giving you healing, giving you a fantastic buff here that improves your precision and your attack, and with all those benefits, you'll actually get a pretty solid lineup that then gets loads of shields, which of course then can benefit the Ailemak. If you build yourself a block, you get the block imprints on your heroes. Hopefully you've got a block star spawn lying around, as this account is pretty old. You'll see yourself with a lot of power. So with all that stuff there, with an Ailemak in as well, I think this account will actually look pretty clean. And I know we've only got 6 Transcendence heroes right now, but if you take a look at the bag, we're very close to 7, and I think that's when we're really going to start to shine. Because you'll have Vesa as a secondary homeowner, Aspen as your main one, and an Ailemak around to provide you with support. So the Jara is going to be mostly on the bench. You can bring her in with her core if you need to, but most of the time she's just going to be wearing a flag and giving your Vesa a ton more attack. The most important thing, Ailemak keeping you alive, Elena and Freya giving you dodge and survivability, Halora buffing you up in many different ways, and of course Aspen raining down the damage. If you bring that all in, get some Destiny improvements later down the line, you'll absolutely start crushing opponents. In fact, with this lineup already, if we did get Ailemak in here, I'm pretty confident we'd be able to beat these Void Invasion bosses. Ailemak gives you those shields that keep you alive. With Elena, you can remove the crowd control, and Aspen can start to mince these guys pretty reliably. All you'll need is a bunch of crowns, or perhaps even Demon Bells for energy feed, and I think you'll have that beaten in no time. Antlers Cane definitely helps if you need to improve Aspen's damage. So, best of luck to you, Smoothie. I think with all those things, this account's definitely going to go in a good direction. You don't need to build yourself a Vulcan, and even if you wanted to, you haven't got his core, and you haven't got the light food to back that up. And especially, you don't even have the soul symbols. So to stay with Aspen, hopefully you can make a ton of progress with him, and when Destiny improvements become more readily available for you, your account is going to pop. See you next time, folks. If you've got an account like this, don't be afraid to keep your Aspen. He is fantastic. Just think about moving into a Vesa as a secondary homeowner, throw in the Ailemak. You'll have a good time. Until next time, though, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what your account looks like, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, though, happy idling.